Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 5 to 8 English lesson on subject verb agreement. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username, as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 5 to 8. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of subject verb agreement. All right. So our chapter is subject verb agreement. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 5 to 8. And then the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of subject verb agreement, it is to use the correct subject or verb, and we're going to use the correct subject or verb with compound subjects. All right. So when it comes to our subject, right, the subject verb agreement, the subject, right, of a sentence and the verb within that sentence, it must agree. So basically the subject as well as the verb within a sentence, they must agree or it must agree. So when it comes to our subjects, verb agreements, we have singular subjects and we have plural subjects. And depending on, let's say, for example, if we have a singular or plural subject, the verb then needs to be in aligned or in agreement with our singular subject as well as our plural subject. So when it comes to our singular subject, right, it refers to either one person, one animal, one place, or one thing that we are basically making mention of within the sentence. So we're talking about it names only one person, it names one animal, one place, or one thing. That is a singular subject. One. So our singular subject needs to basically agree with our singular verb. And when we have a singular subject where we are only naming one person, we're naming one animal, one place, or one thing, right? When the subject is singular, when we are talking about one person or thing only, then we need to use a singular verb. And singular verbs, right? It ends either in is, it ends in es, or it can even end in ies. And if you look at an example of a singular subject that uses a singular verb that either ends in s, es, or ies. Let's say Sarah. Sarah is one person, which is singular. Visits. This is our verb, and we can say visits. You see, it ends with an S. Her grandmother. So Sarah visits her grandmother. And we specifically say that if our subject is singular, referring to either one person, one animal, one place, or one thing, then we need to use a singular verb which either ends in s, es, or ies. And we made an example of Sarah visits her grandmother. Visits, which is our verb, it ends with an s. If you look at another example, my cat, you see, we have one animal, one cat. My cat washes her paws. My cat, so my cat, cat being our singular subject, washes is our singular verb that ends with es, her paws. So es, that basically indicates that this is a singular verb that agrees with our singular subject. Then we have a plural subject. And before we go into the plural subject, right, just to go over singular subject again, we said a singular subject, it names one person, it names only one animal, only one place, or only one thing, right? And we see that our singular subjects, it needs to agree with our singular verbs. So we use a singular verb, and singular verbs are words that ends, or let's say it ends in s, es, and ies, or ies. So now we have our plural subject. And the same with the singular subject that needs to agree with our singular verb. We have our plural subjects, and our plural subjects, it names more than one person, more than one animal, more than one place, or more than one thing. That is what it names. So we said a plural subjects, it names more than one person, more than one place, more than one thing. And when we have a plural subject, right? So when the subject is in plural, because it refers to more than one person, animal, place, or thing, we need to use a plural verb. So we said that our plural subject agrees with our plural verb that names more than one person, animal, place, or thing. So when the subject is plural, we need to use a plural verb. And when we use a plural verb, then we do not do not end in s, do not end in es or ies. So we don't add s, es, or ies. And if we look at an example, right, of a plural subject or plural sentence, then it says Kylie and Jesse. You see, there is more than one person. So Kylie and Jesse walk home. And walk is our verb. And as you can see, if you look at our verb, which is walk, there's no s, there's no es, or there's no ies attached to that. Because when we have a plural subject where we refer to more than one person, animal, place, or thing, then our verb that agrees with our plural subject, it does not end with s, es, or ies. The next one says, the flowers. See, we're referring to more than one flower. Grow. No S, no ES, no IS. So the flowers grow in the garden. And once again, we see that our subject and our verb in a sentence, it must agree with one another. Our singular subjects, it names one person, animal, place, or thing. And we need to use a singular verb that it agrees with. And a singular verb, it ends in S, ES, or IES. And then we have our plural subjects. It names more than one person, more than one animal, more than one place, more than one thing. And once again, if the subject is plural, we don't add S, we don't add ES, and we don't add IES. And once again, if we look at the examples, it says Kyle and Jesse, both of them, it's a plural subject. Walk home. No S, no ES, no IES added. And the next one, the flowers, more than one flowers, grow in the garden. All right, so now we're going to aplusstudents.ca. All right. Now we by aplusstudents.ca, we're going to use the correct subject or the correct verb. Oopsie. All right. So remember, we said that if our subject needs to agree with our verb, and if we have a plural subject, all right. So now we're going to our test where we're basically going to use the correct subject or the verb. All right. It says mice in color from white to brown to gray. So mice, do we say range in color from white to brown to gray, or do we say mice ranges in order from white to gray to gray? We need to choose the correct option that basically agrees with our subject. All right. So since we have one animal, we're going to our basically our verb is going to end in s or ias, because now it says mice, which is more than one mouse. There's actually mice, which is more than one. Then we can say range if it's more than one mouse. Range in color from being brown to gray. Yeah, because remember, if our subject is plural, all right. The next one says, after dinner, all of us huddle by the fire and Warren sings folk songs. Or do we say after dinner, all of us huddles by the fire and Warren sings folk songs? All right. So we now need to complete the sentence with the best verb. And keeping in mind, if the subject refers to more than one, all right, so it says after dinner, all of us, do we say huddle by the fire and Warren sings folk songs, or after dinner, all of us huddles by the fire and Warren sings folk songs? All right, so we said after dinner, all of us, we can say huddle by the fire and Warren sings folk songs. Well done. The next one says the cactus. Do we say grows taller and taller? Or do we say the cactus grow taller and taller, reaching toward the sky? All right, so we say the cactus, do we say grows taller or grow taller and taller, reaching toward the sky? One subject, singular subject. All right, and if we want to choose the correct option, we can say it grows taller and taller, reaching toward the sky. All right, so in the story, it says crushes. Well, in the story, option one, the beast with red eyes crushes the rose bushes in his path. Or in the story, option two, the monster with green fur crushes the rose bushes in his path. We now need to choose one of these sentences to complete our sentence. And if we were to choose the correct one, we'll say in the story crashes, or let's say the beasts with red eyes crushes the monster. So we saw the monster with green fur was crushes is singular. Yes, so crushes refers to our singular subject. Well done. All right, the next one says, did you know that our business normal hours did you know that our business keep normal hours during the week? Or did you know that our business keeps normal hours during the holidays? So we said, do we say that the business they keep the hours during the holiday, or the business keeps normal hours during the holidays? So did you know that our business keep normal hours during the holidays, or keeps normal hours during the holiday? So keeps is correct. All right. So now we're going to use the correct subject or verb with compound sentence. We just now use the verb. Now we're going to use it with compound sentences. All right. So here we say we need to complete the sentence with the base verb. My nephew Ronald. Remember, my nephew refers to one person. Do we say open or opens presents before the adults? So my nephew Ronald, do we say open or opens? So do we say he open, or do we say he opens presents before the adults? All right. So we can then say, my nephew Ronald refers to one person, right? So we can then say he opens presents before the adult. So opens, because if you're referring to one person, then we say opens. All right, open is correct. Because remember, our verb, it needs to agree with the subject. And if the subject refers to it being singular, all right. The next one says, the next one says, it opens. The next one says, do we say astronauts or do we say a scientist or scientists answer questions at the science center? So do we say scientists? Let me say scientists. Or do we say scientists with an S? Answer questions at the science center. Let's just do this one and then we're going to the test. So do we say scientists, they answer questions at the science center? So do we say the scientist or scientists? All right, then if we were to choose the correct one, then yes, scientists with an S. Open. Answer, sorry, the questions at the science center. Well done. All right, so now we're going to our test before we end off our lesson. It says we need to complete the sentence with the best subject. Do we say the piece of paper fall off the desk? All right, so do we say the piece of paper fall off the desk, or do we say the pens and paper fall off the desk? Which one is correct? All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, then we can say the option two. The pens and paper fall off the desk. Well done. The next one says a car or a bus. So a car or a bus, referring to one car, one bus. Do we say carries travelers to the airport 3 times a day? Or do we say carry travelers to the airport 3 times a day? A car or bus. So we say a car or a bus refers to one thing. So we can say carries travelers. Yes. No, remember, if it's one bus, one person, it refers to it being singular. And remember, a singular subject, it needs to agree with a singular verb that either ends in s, es, or ies. All right, the next one says the first fiddle sound out of tune to me. Or do we say the fiddles, sorry, the fiddles and the flutes sound out of tune to me? Which one is correct? Is it option one, the first fiddle, or option two, the fiddles and flutes sound out of tune to me? All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, we will say the fiddles and the flutes sound out of tune to me. All right, so this is now the end of our lesson. On subject verb agreement, we said that our subject in a sentence needs to agree with the verb in a sentence. If our subject is singular, right, and it refers to one person, animal, place, or thing, then our verb needs to agree with our subject and it either ends in s, es, or ies. And if we have a plural subject and then we need to have a plural verb that agrees with this plural subject and it does not end with s, es, or ies. All right, so this is the end of our lesson on subject verb agreement. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And I really hope you're going to have a good weekend further. All right. All right, everybody, this is the end of our lesson. So, till next time, goodbye. And thank you, everybody. You must have a good weekend.